Hey guys, it's Carl, and I typically don't create standalone videos on headphones as I'm technically not a real audiophile, and it's tough to portray what I'm listening to, what my ears are hearing, to tell you guys over video, as you guys can't really hear that as well. But these headphones in particular are some of my favorites, and I know that they are some of the industry leading in noise canceling. These are none other than the Sony WH-1000XM5s, probably the best known pair of headphones for noise canceling. And I think I did a quick little poll. So many of you said that the Mark IVs, even the Mark IIIs, which I still rock to this day, are some of the best, and I'm super pumped that the Mark Vs are finally out, and I think these will be the go-to pair for active noise canceling for an over-the-ear pair of headphones kind of moving forward in 2022. So quickly, out of the box, they actually have a brand new design. The box is actually designed out of all disposable and recyclable material, so I think most tech brands are kind of taking that on now. It feels like it's made out of recyclable material, and most people throw their tech boxes away, so I'm always a fan of that. Big ups to Sony. Moving on to the carrying case, which most over-the-ear headphones and most traveling headphones have. They have a brand new design. It almost looks like it's an origami sort of inspired design. You can actually see some of the folded edges, which it can compress slightly, especially when the headphones aren't in, and that's really useful when you store this or stick it in a backpack so it doesn't take as much space. But the actual material also feels like it's in a similar denim or fabric material, maybe recyclable as well. I do prefer the older style with the faux leather that has a bit more cleanability. Is that a word? Because over-the-ear headphones are something that I usually travel with, the case tends to get dinged up and does attract a lot of dirt. So those used to be easier to clean. This will definitely pick up a lot of dirt, a lot of debris, and it's just a bit harder to keep clean. I have traveled with these on one trip. I was actually in Miami for the F1 Grand Prix where I got to test these out. The case performed okay, but maybe over a year to 2 years, I think this thing will start to break down. But it's still nice that they did include one in the box. And to the headphones themselves, you can see they've got a brand new design. So that's actually different from the Mark IVs, which technically copied the Mark IIIs. And for that exact reason, I didn't choose to upgrade to the Mark IVs. I actually returned my pair, kept the money, and stayed with the Mark IIIs because I didn't think that there was too much of a design difference. You can see right now, completely new design, and they are probably just more minimal looking than ever. They come in two different options of either black or silver, and they do have a matte finish. They do collect a bit of gunk on them. In the week that I've been testing out, you can already kind of see how much stuff they've picked up, but that doesn't really impact the listening experience. And pretty much no branding except for on the stems, just hints of Sony in gold, which I am a fan of. And other than that, they are just a very clean and minimal pair of headphones. In terms of ports, you're just looking at the USB-C port on the right ear cup, and over on the left-hand side, you've got the on and off button / Bluetooth pair, as well as the noise canceling / ambient mode switch on the opposite. Also on the right ear cup, you've got the pretty standard earbud or headphone controls. So you got tap to stop or stop music. You can swipe up to increase volume, and of course swiping down to decrease volume, swiping either way to skip to the next track. One thing that I've noticed though about the new redesigned headband, you can actually see how thin and slim it is compared to most over-the-ear headphones. It is made out of a new synthetic leather along with the new ear cups, which we'll get to. I find that it isn't quite as comfortable as larger headbands. Maybe that's just because the pressure is more localized and in one spot. And that's one of the main reasons why Apple designed their AirPod Pro Maxes with this large mesh area. It just helps alleviate pressure. And although I took this on my first trip to Miami for the Formula One Grand Prix, my flight was only around 3.5 hours from Toronto. I didn't notice too much pressure, but I'll have to test this out more on longer haul flights, 6 to 7 hours. Maybe that thinner headband could actually cause minor discomfort. I'm sure it isn't too big of a deal. I will say though that the synthetic ear cups, these are way comfier. They actually do remind me of the AirPod Pro's memory foam. They actually do feel quite similar, but unlike the AirPod Pros where you can actually swap these out and change them if your ear cups do get a bit damaged, worn over time, the ones on the Sonys are still stuck in place. In defense of the Sonys, they come in at a way cheaper price point compared to the overpriced $550 of the AirPod Pro Maxes. There are a couple details which I do kind of miss, which we'll get to in a second, but these come in at $400 compared to the $350 for the Mark IVs, which will still stay on the market, so you have to decide if that $50 is kind of worth the extra upgrade. And the main reason behind that is, of course, the new design and the main tech for the noise canceling. So for the Mark IVs, there were 4 microphones on the outside to listen to what was going on around you, processed through one single processor to give you active noise canceling. This time on the Mark Vs, they've doubled that. So 8 microphones with 2 separate processors to give you a better active noise canceling listening experience, and the frequency which the Mark Vs, they actually target higher frequencies like when you're on a plane, like high-pitched sounds, to give you a better active noise canceling experience. And in my testing on that plane where I typically wear these, this was the best active noise canceling experience I've had with a pair of headphones. It was noticeably better and more quieter on the Mark Vs compared to the AirPod Pros or even the Mark IIIs, which I previously used. So I would definitely give these the title of the best noise canceling headphones that you can buy. And like I said, there are some other things coming from the AirPods, like for example, the stems. They are still plastic, give you a decent amount of articulation, but once you've come from something like this and experienced it, obviously most other stuff does feel cheaper, but I mentioned $550, way too overpriced. I would never recommend grabbing a pair or spending that kind of money. Save it, $150 cheaper, grab these and you can spend that extra cash on another piece of tech. The rest of the overall listening experience, this is where it becomes tough to portray over video because you can't hear what I'm kind of hearing, but they do have new 30mm redesigned drivers. They're actually made out of carbon fiber, and typically the music that I listen to, it's more on the bass heavy side, so I'm really into deep house electronic music, and actually through all the ranges in the mids and highs as well. These perform great. I mentioned that I'm not an audiophile, and I know that there are people that are really specific about their music, but I think for 90-95% of the people out there that grab these, the active noise canceling will be the first main feature, and any music that you listen to, you'll have such an awesome experience. They sound great. One thing that I was let down by the Mark IVs, and especially the Mark IIIs, which I'm happy that they addressed, is the microphones, because most people take calls now with their headphones. They have a new 4B mic. The call quality is just significantly better, and I usually just have it paired with my 13 Pro Max. So when I'm on Zoom or just actually taking a regular call, the microphones on this perform so much better. So I'm really happy that they've addressed that. And the last thing to kind of chat about is battery life. And even with the 2 processors, the 8 microphones and the new drivers, you still get the 30 hours of music playback. They do have quicker charging now, so you can actually juice this up for 3 minutes and get 3 extra hours. Like I mentioned, charging via USB-C, and you can switch actively between multiple devices. So when I was on that flight, switching between my iPhone when I was listening to a podcast, and then I actually just hopped onto my MacBook for some edits, and it kind of switches seamlessly between devices, which is always nice. When I travel to Europe this summer, that will be a better test of the battery life since the flight will be around 10 hours, but pretty much the entire day, plus some if you happen to listen to music that long, these will be able to last. So yeah, that's pretty much it. These are the new Sony WH-1000X Mark Vs. Super pumped that these are finally out. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to these. Coming from the AirPods, I would say, $550, definitely better build quality. There is a bit of plastic you can actually hear. In reality, no one is actually tweaking their headphones like this. They're realistically over the head, you're listening to music, and if anything, the active noise canceling is on, so you can't hear anything else around you. I would say these are the best active noise canceling headphones that you can get for the money. That $50 price bump, I'm not the happiest about, but I guess with everything getting more expensive, you've got the new design, the new processing unit, and of course the 8 microphones, so 50 extra bucks. I would have loved to see the case just be a bit more robust. I'm sure I will break this within a year, but maybe I'll check back to you guys on social. Hope you guys enjoyed this vid, and I will catch the rest of you in one of my next ones. Peace.